Hey, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth McGuire.
And this is Talking Lion.
Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversation.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion, but we've been lucky enough to write, produce, and hang out with so many incredible rising artists since we started our project.
Whether it's at sessions or parties or over cups of coffee, we've talked with our creative friends about everything. Music, life, love, and all the subtle complexities that come with being in the middle of a journey.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on these conversations and sharing them with you. There's no real structure, nothing really prepared, just friends talking about life and what it's been like and where it's going.
We recorded this episode with our friend MOONZz.
We first met MOONZz at an event in LA called Industry Talks, where she was on a panel covering sync licensing. From there, we discovered we had many mutual friends and we hit it off.
Some context for this interview. We recorded this episode a week before her wedding. A year earlier, she released her EP Aftershock and is currently working on new music.
Incredibly driven and brilliant in the business of music, MOONZz has inspired many with her heartfelt songs and path towards balance. So,
Without further ado,
this is MOONZz, and you're listening to Talking Lion.
all right, we're going to start. I'm going to just start by saying that Noah's currently clutching a pillow.
I want one of those.
It looks
so
it's
fluffy.
very soft.
It's
but
very soft.
Are you okay?
I'm looking around the room, and there's
Sometimes you just gotta clutch a pillow.
no pillow like that for me to be holding on to.
Should we- yeah.
Would you like to clutch
No,
this pillow?
I don't have to take it from you.
No, go for it.
No,
I have my phone with it.
it feels like there's a mix of like a pup and a sweet cat on your lap.
This is the secret to good podcasting, is having a pillow that
I
everybody
feel
can
bad.
pass.
Take it back.
No, I don't need it.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks.
It's good to see you. It's funny, we were talking that we've run into each other a lot around Los Angeles, but we've never had a chance to like hang and chat. So this is the hang and chat. I think within the hour that we were just you brought juice that was really
I brought some,
you made that, right?
Yeah, fresh juice. It was 2 celery stalks, a fourth of green cabbage, a red apple, and a fourth of honeydew. Pretty bomb.
My stomach's been hurting lately, so that I don't know. I'm sure that was really good for me to not feel terrible.
It's good if you've been drinking. It's good if you just want to detoxify that gut. So
I feel
I'm happy you liked it.
It was good, yeah. And then we had bagels and lox, which I appreciate.
Yes.
As a New York Jew is pretty much
Me too. As an LA Jew, very grateful for the bagels.
Bagels and lox.
Bagels and lox with all the fixings.
It's that's I think my final meal. If I had to choose, it would be bagels and lox.
I have a hard time doing that game. Just because I love so many different breakfast foods and everything.
It's stressful to pick
I feel like it's really challenging. And I love codfish, I think, more than lox. Which I will thank my Nana for that.
That's I think that's a very strong take, I think. But also I grew up with New York bagels, which I would argue are just a different flavor palette.
What's the place? Russ and Daughters? That's where I always go when I go to New York.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very popular.
I like Absolute in New York, but also I'm from the suburbs outside, and there was just Star
Gotta
Bagels.
Give me your list.
Yeah, Sunshine Bagel in Ardsley, Westchester, New York. Yeah.
Oh, I'm serious. You have to give me that list.
I will give you the list. Yeah. Also, I miss bacon, egg, and cheeses at bodegas that you could just walk into. Here,
that's what's missing, right?
Yeah.
Here it's egg sandwich on
I
toast.
feel we have tacos as a consolation for the cheap, quick thing.
True.
But it's
we're missing that
missing a
one
good
stop.
bodega sandwich.
It's true.
It's hard. I mean, it's heartbreaking. We traded that for the weather. I think I've said that once every podcast. Is I traded bagels for good weather.
That's so funny.
But you're from here originally, yeah?
Yes. Well, the Valley, the San Fernando Valley. Grew up in Tarzana. Alla Banks and Chaim. They also grew up there.
Oh,
the sisters.
Cool. I'm just trying to picture where that is. We went outside of Los Angeles for the first time last week.
Do you know where Calabasas is if you're heading north?
Yeah, it's north.
So it's kind of in between Studio City and Calabasas. It's kind of right in the middle.
So not too far.
Not too far.
Did you go to high school with our roommate, Eric?
I did. We went to a small private Jewish school in the Valley.
Oh, nice.
I loved it. It was the best 4 years. And then I went to college in Boulder, so I was in Colorado.
Cool. I played an open mic in Boulder, which was fun. Yeah.
Where?
I did I played a bunch of.
Was it Laughing Goat?
It was Laughing Goat.
Was it Laughing Goat?
Yeah, it was Laughing Goat.
I played open mics at Laughing Goat.
Laughing Goat was fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of. I remember the walls were just really nicely decorated.
I feel like they feature different artists' work from the last time I was there.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about Boulder. Like, you feel like everyone can succeed in a lot of different avenues. Like, that's how I felt in college. Like, there were so many different artists doing a million different things, and I felt like everyone was shining.
Well, when you were back when you were growing up, like in the Valley, did you first like take a shining to music, or were there other things that you were
Definitely
interested in?
was just into all arts, like musical theater, dance.
Were you in the school shows?
Music. I was in all the shows.
What's some of the shows? Because we're both
Yeah,
recovering theater kids.
The Music Man.
Nice.
But the Music Man, I was Miss Peru, and my sister was my daughter, which was really funny. And my sister's 4 years older than me, which was really funny.
Is your sister musical as well?
I mean, I feel like we're all pretty musical, but she didn't like pursue a musical career. And my oldest sister is a painter.
Oh, cool. What's the other sister?
My middle
do now?
sister
Yeah.
worked at Ford Models as the women's division head.
Oh, cool.
For 5 years, and then was a casting agent before that. So kind of on the other side of
Entertainment.
Yeah. But we all have like a love for music, for sure, an appreciation for it.
What'd your parents do?
My mom is kind of a stay-at-home mom and the best of it. And she is also a college counselor.
Oh, cool.
And my dad has now owned our family business since 1922, and it's temperature-controlled storage for huge companies.
Okay, yeah.
And on-site shredding as well.
Wait, he didn't start the company in 1922.
No, his grandfather, so my great-grandfather.
I was just trying to do the math.
Started it.
Your dad is brushing 100?
Williams Data Management is the company. But my dad was super musical and would always play me like the classics, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald. He would play Tower of Power, which was like my ultimate favorite. We would blast it in the car on my way home from Tap.
Did he play?
He plays trumpet.
Oh, cool.
He grew up playing trumpet. My mom grew up playing flute.
Oh, wow.
So a very eclectic house, but I always grew up, I just was super drawn to the piano. So that's like always what I played since like age 5.
Did you have a piano in the house? Mm-hmm. Cool.
And then my sister played guitar. And then my other sister played piano as well. So
you guys were just like
we
the
could
Von
have had,
Trapps.
we could have had a band. We maybe needed a drummer,
family
but
band.
I think every like dad wants to start a family band. Like I think that my dad just wanted my brother and I and him to like, and my mom to just go on the road together. And I think I wanted everything.
What a dream! I mean,
yeah,
could be really fun. Still, we could still do it.
yeah. The Williams.
Though I haven't heard my dad play trumpet in a long, long time, so have to see.
The Williams family.
Yeah, the Williams family tour. Seriously, we'd have to come up with a better name than that, but.
It sounds very classic though. That sounds like like the Addams Family or whatever.
True.
It sounds.
Or my sisters and I have always talked about like, having like some kind of group, like a trio.
Yeah, you'd be the second
like
the second sister band to come
Yeah.
from could tour with Haim and.
Would be really cool. I know I say Chaim like in Hebrew.
Oh, I think I just
Haim.
I mess
think-
it up
I
every.
think people say Chaim.
I'll pronounce things like with the sort of Hebrew pronunciation that like doesn't warrant it. Like I'll just throw or I'll just I'll throw in Yiddish accidentally. I texted somebody the other day saying that I was cavelling about them, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, I was."
You gotta say, look it up.
Yeah, not to be confused with kvetching.
Yes.
Yeah, we're teaching Yiddish to our listeners today. That's what today.
The other
is.
one that my parents would teach me my whole life was schmutz, like there's schmutz
Oh, the
on
schmutz
you.
on you, yeah.
But I never could pronounce it, so my dad would make me say shamutz,
Schmutz.
shamutz. And when I was 8, I still couldn't do it, so I would say shamutz.
Schmutz.
And he was
That almost sounds more Hebrew though. That's yeah.
he would always say it's close, but you still aren't getting it. Finally, now,
Were you bat mitzvahed?
I was bat mitzvahed, age 13, at Stephen S. Weiss.
Nice. What month was your? Not like in
March.
Hebrew, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was super connected to, and still am, to like my Judaism, and went to college and actually majored in Jewish studies.
Oh wow. So you weren't studying music in
I wasn't
college?
studying music. I took a lot of the undergrad music classes that were available, but I didn't major in it just because it was very classically driven, and I wanted to have like a pop focused program.
Well, and to be fair, also like the music in Judaism is incredible. Like some of the
That was
melodies
beautiful.
that are
I
like,
mean,
yeah.
I sang a cappella my whole life. I would write, and be in the a cappella groups in camp. So it definitely brought lots of joy to my life. But, once I graduated, I was like, I don't necessarily want to write this right now.
Right.
I want to kind of branch off and do my own thing. But it wasn't until like toward the end of 2015 that I started MOONZz. So, and I graduated in 2013. So it took like a year and a half.
Were you performing when you were in high school?
In high school, yeah. Well, I was in a conservatory, the Southern California Piano Conservatory in Calabasas. And we'd have like, biannual shows, and I'd play here and there and then start playing at little places like in the Valley.
Were you writing for those things, or were you playing covers?
Yeah, I've always written, but most of the time it was just like composition. Like I didn't write lyrics at the time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them were just piano and then I would add strings. Like I started using GarageBand like junior year of high school. And I would add like strings and then, like drum loops, and like was not, quantizing anything, and would kind of be like, this sounds great. Like everything's coming to life.
Do you remember the name of the first like song you wrote?
It was called There Is Love, and it was when I was 17. Yeah, like, I mean, the biggest like big song, but my first one like was probably around my bar mitzvah, because I gave out CDs of my songs to my guests.
That's amazing.
And it was called Strength. It was called Strength.
I love the image of just like passing out your mixtape at your bar. Bar mitzvah.
I've always been like a hustler in that sense. Like,
no, I'm just upset that I didn't think about it.
Well, it was, the theme of it was Mad About Molly. That's my real name. And all the table themes were like things that I was mad about, like musical theater or dance or
I misinterpreted.
You thought it would be
I
like
was
angry?
Yeah, it's like pollution and politics.
For roast.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I feel like that would be like a very today bat mitzvah theme. Like, like we're mad.
What are we mad about?
What are you pissed about?
Take action now.
It's like Paul's pissed.
Like Paul's pissed. That's so
and
funny.
each table is just like a news article that like bothered him.
That's amazing.
Like artists he doesn't like enjoy or anything.
But yeah, it was like, instead of, like table, like name, what are they called? Like
place
cards.
Yeah.
it was like my CD with their name on it.
That's a good hustle.
That's great though.
You should do that at your wedding as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
You're getting married in a week, right?
In a week.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Are you having it around here?
It's about like an hour northeast of here.
If you don't mind me asking, how did you guys meet?
We actually met on Tinder.
Ooh.
Nice.
I know. Shout out Tinder. And it was like, for me, it was really like love at first sight.
That's awesome.
4 years later, and here we are.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
You should pass your mixtape around. Yeah.
It's actually like, that's the funny thing, because I talked about it with my managers, that how funny would it be if it lined up that like the EP is going to come out right around that time. And we keep joking that it's like, it is going to be like the single will be released right around the date, and whatever. Well, so that's just kind of how it works. You can't control. Jokes
sort of aside, it's like very hard sometimes to find the line between like personal life and the music that you make. Obviously, like
thematically, it's like all threaded together. But I think when I first started MOONZz, I tried to keep it as separate as possible, just to kind of have that privacy.
I mean, those boundaries do take work, though. Like, it's not necessarily like you start a project and those boundaries are there inherently. Like, you have to work to decide, like, okay, how much of my real life, not even just in the songwriting, but just how much of my real life from like a friendship and branding and business standpoint is going to be seeping into this. Do I put my mixtape out like at my birthday party? At my
hand out those USBs.
Yeah, but well, Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And so you were performing also when you were in Colorado.
Yeah, I was. I'd play like at all different bars.
I love the Laughing Goat. I'm still. That's a funny.
Yeah, that's so funny. I still remember friends of mine that would come to shows. It was just like 15 people, and like those are the friends that are still super supportive today. Of like what's come of my project. But yeah, Boulder was like a really cool bubble of, cultivating my sound. I discovered, the Chaos Pad while I was in college. That's like the looping pad. And I do all my vocal manipulations on there. And it's how I kind of started a lot of my song ideas. And I played with like a handful of people that would just come. They didn't know any of what I was playing, but they would just be happy to play with me the night of. And we would just jam for 10 minutes each song. And it was like, it kind of got me into like that freeing space of, writing should bring joy to your life. Like, it shouldn't be a stressful thing. And that's kind of what, like, it created a really really like solid and sweet foundation for my project. Being in Boulder, like it didn't feel like people always talk about how it's like, you know, and it is, the industry is it will tear you apart in a lot of ways, but it should also lift you up in a lot of ways too.
Well, and that's I think what we're sort of noticing just in the 2 years we've been out here is just there is the negative if you look for it, but there's also so much great stuff if you also look for it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's
I think
a
you also
balance to be struck.
and to some extent you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think if you make an active attempt to attract good people and to be good to people, like, you know, the industry is a pretty nice place to be.
I had a pun I would say, which is like if you think it's zero sum, you're not adding enough. Like I think the idea is that you can, if there isn't enough opportunity out there, like create opportunity
Totally.
and be good to everybody. But you know, it
is true. I mean, it's all how you choose to look at it, you know, to see. It's all how you choose to see it.
Now, did you ever consider while you were out in Boulder, instead of moving back to Los Angeles, consider like Nashville or New York?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I feel like my first choice would have been to stay in Colorado longer, but I love New York for little bursts of time. But I don't know if I could live there. That's just me. Nashville too. I mean, I also think just because I'm not necessarily like a songwriter that much for other people. Like I write for other people here and there, but I feel like I'm pretty focused on my own stuff most of the time. That I don't know if I would succeed out there as much.
Yeah.
That's just like, maybe that's just in my head. Who knows?
So what year did you move back to Los Angeles?
I moved back like the summer after I graduated.
And you started the MOONZz
Pretty
project
quick.
within that?
Within like a year and a half.
Cool. And when you were first starting out, were you doing it like the production and the writing all on your own, or did you have
No,
your
I
early
kind
collaborator?
of right as I moved back, my friend Reed, whose artist project is called Dreamer's Delight, he introduced me to my friend Cody Tarpley. When was that? Like summer 2014, I think. And he had just moved to LA from Texas. And we jammed for like 3 weeks straight, and we ended up writing a ton of material. And he was kind of the first like producer relationship that I felt really just confident with, kind of bringing ideas in and kind of writing from scratch, which was new for me, writing with people.
Yeah.
And then it kind of started from there. We wrote Satisfy in like an hour, and we wrote like a handful of other songs that ended up coming out.
Well, so Satisfy was your first
over the
single.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. And was that 2015,
That
2016?
came out like, it was my first single, August 2015. But right before that, actually, I released like a cover I did with Crane.
Oh.
Zach. And we did like a Kanye Sia. And that came out, and I really loved that like no one knew who I was. It was kind of like this elusiveness that I got to like play along with. And that was, I think, in like April of 2015.
Was Wolves what inspired the sort of MOONZz imagery,
No.
or was it just a coincidence?
That was just a coincidence. Moon was a nickname my sisters called me growing up.
Oh.
And I added the Z's after that. It kind of just created this like dreamscape kind of world for me, where I shouldn't be afraid of my subconscious and like all the dreams that I have. So that was kind of like one of the things. And then the other thing is that I am inspired by the moon and, you know, both the darkness and the light. And I always want to be inspiring to others, but to not be afraid of the darkness that lives in all of us. I feel like it's just part of all of us. Some of us choose to let it scare us. And I kind of want to be that inspiration for others. Doesn't necessarily need to be.
Well, I think what's funny is like before we even started like recording today, we were like talking about dreams. We were talking about like the you had this, if you don't mind sharing.
I just dreamt that I climbed up this super steep mountain. I was just at my friend's wedding in Israel a few weeks ago in Caesarea, and you just are on this like very rich old Roman like owned land, basically. Like it just feels like you're walking in history. And we climbed up in my dream to this super tall, like I don't even know how tall it was, but I was terrified of coming down. But when I looked for friends to help me, like no one was around. And it was almost like it was challenging me to make a decision or call out for help, even though I couldn't see those people. That's kind of how I interpreted it. Like maybe I've gotten all the way up to this place, and I'm really proud of myself for that. But like I can't either get down by myself or I can't get across by myself. And I shouldn't be afraid of asking for help. I don't feel like that shows weakness or anything. I feel like that just...
Yeah. Have you found that to be true in the music industry?
I think so. Yeah. I used to not share a lot of my work in progress with people. And I feel like just over the years, I've gotten more confident and just more open to inviting, not necessarily, opinion, but just their thoughts about it. I choose not to see them as like constructive opinion. It's more just like everyone's going to have their own thoughts about, what it makes them feel. And that doesn't necessarily need to match how you felt when you wrote it, but it's just it's a power of music. It can mean something else.
It's funny because we're like on different sides of it, I think, on most occasions. Like I have a hard time working on something without showing somebody like the day one demo. Like if somebody really likes the day one demo and is really excited about it, I'm like, well, wait till you hear it when it's done. Like that for me is like the motivating factor.
And you're much more like protective of.
Yeah, I think I want to show people things that I'm proud of, and I don't want to just show people like. I think that there's so much that goes into the creative process.
Totally.
I like to tinker with stuff before externalizing it.
Well, and we go back and forth about needing help. Like I find like my superpower is knowing my limits and knowing who to call. Whereas like Noah, we've talked about this. It's like for him, it's like what can I do on my own? How can I think that's something we talk about a lot. I think that's like a balance to be struck,
I feel like there's two sides. It's like, have you exhausted all of your resources in that way? Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to invite people in too early, but sometimes I get stuck and I'm like, maybe they'll have a different idea that like, that I just was, closed off to or something.
I think part of it for me comes from I enjoy doing things by myself, and I enjoy learning new skills and pushing myself. Mm-hmm. So it's like I do want to get better at like recognizing like, oh, I'm not super good at this thing. I could ask someone for help and that would help me like accomplish my goals. But I'm also just like, I could get better at this thing.
Right.
Like I could teach myself to be better at all these aspects of things that I want to be good at. So it's definitely a balance between like, doing things that interest me and improving myself, but also like recognizing my own limitations and being okay with those limitations. And saying, if I want to accomplish this goal, then it's okay to ask for help doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of jolted awake also. So I don't know if it was like just kind of telling me like, you've gotten to this point, you should be proud of yourself, see what else is out there for you. I don't know. Yeah. But sometimes I'm also like, maybe a dream isn't meant to be interpreted so heavily. Sometimes I feel like, oh, it's just there. It kind of made you think. And then...
Yeah.
Well, I think dreams are often, it's like, you hear what you want to hear, what you need to hear. It's like, I've been like rattled by dreams and I'll like tell Noah and...
Do you write them out?
Always, yeah.
Okay, yeah. My mom's mom has always written her dreams and she has a dream circle.
Wait, what's a dream circle? With her girlfriends.
She meets with them like, I think now it's like once a month. I think it used to be a bit more. She's 84, but she's so inspirational to me. Like they meet and discuss it and they all kind of talk through what they think it means. And
that's cool.
It gives life to like, things.
To the subconscious.
Yeah. Well, it's so powerful.
I think lately I've been really happy, which is a weird thing to be. But I think whenever I have a dream that sort of rattles me, I like trust it because it'll make me realize, oh, there are things that are like longer journeys, like longer things that I'll need to sort of
like sift through.
I think it's funny we were talking about collaboration though before because you sort of first sonically came into our world through a collaboration. I think the first song I heard was Navigator, and we heard it because we knew the Opia guys.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you did that with Cole?
I did that with both Cole and DJ.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How did you meet them?
I met them when they first moved to LA, I think in early 2016. But it was kind of just like a session that happened and we wrote a great song. It was when Jacob, who's their producer, Jacob, was also here and we ended up writing a cool song. But that wasn't Navigator. It was just a cool song that came of it. It never saw the light of day. And we just ended up staying friends and really enjoying each other's company. But
we were like online friends because we put out a song at the same time, and so like when we were looking at the blogs, we saw them and we reached out on Facebook. And then when Jacob visited Boston, we hung. He even I think like tracked vocals, like one line of vocal on one of our songs.
So generous with his time too. He's so sweet.
Yeah, and then when Cole and DJ were touring with Marion Hill, they texted us like, "Hey, can we crash at your place? Like we're gonna have to wake up at 6 a.m, so we can't like hang. But can we crash?" And so we saw Cole and DJ for 30 seconds. I remember very distinctly, like, they came to the house, like, just like threw on pajamas and just dropped dead.
Passed
my
right
God.
out. And we're out at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that summer, right? It was like 2016 summer.
Yeah, it would have been that summer. It feels. It's crazy how long ago that was. Yeah. But that was an incredible song, and then I think I followed you in general. But the first time we met was at the industry talks. Kyle Emerson.
Right.
Brown's,
I spoke on that panel.
Which
was that also a couple of years ago?
That was a year. Would have been like a year and a half ago. I didn't know what like sync was really until that. Like I didn't realize like what that world was until you explained it at your talk, which is super cool. Like,
wow. Well, that's like kind of what I feel like we all, we write songs in hopes that, it'll reach as many people as possible, and then a sync like that gets in TV or a commercial or whatever just gives it all new life. Like it literally just extends the life. And for me, like I didn't think anything would happen with Satisfy, and then that just happened over and like they just kept renewing it, and I was like, this is crazy. You just never think that a song that at the time was just really fun and you were like, fuck, this sounds amazing, I'm gonna loop this, and then it just gets synced in this empowering as fuck commercial, and then you watch it and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's my song, like that's crazy. I was like, how could this happen?
Well, it's like a win-win-win, because I feel part of building a career is just getting ears on your music, but then part of it, and we talk about this a lot, is just like runway, like making sure that financially like you can focus on what you're doing. And whenever you get it, like streaming is fine, like the pennies accumulate, etc., and writing for other people is good.
Yes, they do.
And everything, but like just to get like a check in the mail and then be able to know like, okay, that can last me this amount of time, I can focus on it for this amount of time. Like you essentially buy yourself patience. You buy yourself the ability to not have to take a deal you don't want, to take an advance you don't want. You buy yourself equipment, and literally buying yourself equipment. And you essentially buy time and energy, to a degree, to focus on stuff. So I find that like there's a lot of new artists who don't know like this, how powerful the sync world is.
Well, I also think, before like the world of iPod came out and like all those, remember those like dope color background commercials with the silhouetted people dancing?
Yeah.
Like before that, like it wasn't cool to get syncs with your music. Like it was seen as like a cop out in so many ways.
It's like a jingle.
Yeah. It was like, why would you want that? But then somehow there was like this switch when iPod, came out with all those things that I remember seeing those and being like, that's crazy. Like your music is being heard by consumers, like wanting to buy that product and then wanting your song as well. Like,
well, what's so amazing is like there has been, I think, a sync like boom, and it was like that running in parallel to like the Zach Braff effect. Like you would have shows like Scrubs or movies like Garden State that would be using music by unknown artists,
soundtracks.
Right? Like you'd have Iron and Wine and the Shins and everything in the fray too. Suddenly like being known by like a ton of people.
Grey's Anatomy.
I was about to say, I maybe almost don't want to go on this rant, but I feel like I should go on this rant. I feel like Zach Braff gets too much credit for the Zach Braff effect. I feel like the woman who did the super music supervision for Gossip Girl, the OC, and Grey's Anatomy, and like 90210, like did way more for like.
Did she do all of those?
She did all of those.
Wow,
like she's incredible. I think she
totally
deserves the credit for that effect, because that stuff was happening before like Scrubs.
Who is she?
And that's the thing, because that was happening right around the time of like that Apple commercial and that thing.
Yeah.
So you suddenly had commercial sync and you have television sync running hand in hand. I'd even say like to a degree trailer music evolved from using like orchestral.
Alexandria Patsavis, she did the Twilight Saga too.
Oh
and
my
talk
God.
about a good soundtrack.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God. That
Like,
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I personally discovered so much of my music taste comes from Grey's Anatomy,
Me too.
House.
A House had great.
Even the OC, like one of the first songs I learned on piano was California by Phantom Planet, because it was the OC theme. Like,
well, can we just like Decode by Paramore?
Yeah,
exclusively on the Twilight
That's
soundtrack.
how I found Mute Math was the Twilight soundtrack. Iron and Wine was on the Twilight soundtrack. Like,
I just remember seeing that and kind of coming to that realization, like I could live in that world.
Yeah.
Sure, it took like a little bit longer, but I was like 11, or I don't even know. I feel like I was like 10 when those commercials started.
Right. I think anybody starting in music now, it's just sort of there. We're aware. You can put music in commercials. You can put music in television. There's so much television now that like, I mean, if we could probably make a killing if we all just like pretended to make 40s jazz music. And then suddenly we have every single period drama from Catch-22 to Miss Maisel. But
oh, what a fabulous show.
Right? Yeah. And what's cool is that like I feel all of us were inspired by those songs anyway. So it's not like we're trying to make sync songs. We're just making songs that can have that cinematic quality. I think I really like, I mean, what I love about Navigator is that it feels just powerful. Like it feels like you're on that drive. It feels like you're...
Thanks. That's like the vibe I really wanted. I think Restless Modern, the production on it is just like, it just totally matches the vibe that I was going for too.
He was on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he produced. Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out.
I kind of envisioned it like that. Like, you know, you keep passing the exits where you're supposed to get off and like it just doesn't matter because wherever you're going, you're with the one that you want to be with. And that's the feeling you want forever, you know? And there's still videos that get tagged. I just got tagged in one yesterday of this couple on like their honeymoon or something. And it's all this drone footage of them driving through
That's awesome.
Wherever the fuck. And, you know, to see it, it's just really powerful. I released that song in March 2016. And
well,
it's like,
do you remember the first part of the song that like came into existence?
Yeah, well, to me, I remember the visual was driving. It was like we kind of wanted to make it feel like we were moving or going somewhere or like on a mission. And then it kind of turned into like, well, what's the picture you want to paint? And I said, you know, my fiance, soon to be husband, go on all these road trips together. And oftentimes like we don't even know where we're going and we just decided to go camping one night. And so then Cole was like, why don't we write about that? Like it doesn't matter where you're going. And then it just sort of like, it just kind of was written like that. Like sometimes those songs happen and they're blessings when they do. And you don't have to think like for days on end about like one little lyric, you know, change. And it's kind of just how it came to be.
That's awesome.
It was a really easy, like, blessing day. Like seriously, it really was.
Well, and you hear, I mean, there's plenty to talk about it, but like there are songs where you really just have to like, you know, toy with it and put in a lot of effort. And then there's songs that it feels like somebody else even, you know, wrote it. Like it just like you're which sounds so spiritual or whatever, but I think anybody who's experienced that, it is somewhat of a spiritual moment. You're like,
it really feels like you're stumbling on something.
Yeah.
Like it's existed, it's always existed, and you happen to be the one that, you know, gets to actually make it exist or whatever. I don't know. That's really heady stuff.
Well, it's like Michelangelo or something said, like, there's no possible thing like sculpture that can't that isn't contained in just a blank slab of marble.
Oh yeah,
and it's the mind of the artist that like releases it from that state.
I think it was Tom Waits. I was watching like a TED Talk or whatever. Like somebody said like Tom Waits would imagine as like this thing that would come to him, and that he would have a decision whether or not to interact. Like at one point, you know, like he would be like very anxious and try to like write everything down, but you know, sometimes he'll be in traffic and like the thing visited me, and I'm like, I'm in traffic. You see, I'm in traffic. Like come again, you know, like come another time, and then
that's
it leaves him. That. You know, like that's just such a cool. But Tom Waits is also just like effortlessly cool.
He is.
You brought a book of essays.
Oh yeah, I did. It's called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. My friend Ida, who's this dope founder of this candle company that I love called Evil Queen, she's always reading dope books. And sometimes, because I'm so on the go, I feel like sometimes I don't have the patience to like sit down and read a chunk of chapters a day. That's just me. I don't know how you are. But these are all short essays. And yeah, I just figured I could...
we'd love to hear.
Open up to one. Yeah, this one says... Be where your feet are. Mantras that will remind you that your life is happening in this moment. It says, life happens in a series of moments, and any other ideas are just illusions that keep you from it. Here are 15 little mantras that you can repeat to yourself when you need to reground and remember. All that exists is what's in front of me. That was number 1. The only way to be extraordinary depends on what I do with the ordinary. My life consists of my days. What am I doing with this one? This one's my favorite, which I always say like every day to myself, and I feel like you would like. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
I like that.
Reminds me of that John Cage quote.
Begin anywhere.
Begin anywhere.
Yeah, but this book is great. I mean, they all kind of remind you that, you know, you're doing a great job wherever you are in your life, and you don't need to continuously compare yourself to what everyone else is doing. And I just feel like, you know, with this day and age with Instagram and with everything, it's like you're constantly seeing what everyone else is doing, and you can't help but compare and be like, well, they're doing this better, or, you know, their branding looks cooler. It's like, you know, so this kind of like grounds me and reminds me that I'm doing a good job, and there's room for everyone to succeed.
When we first started, I was obsessed with comparison. I mean, and Noah can vouch for it, especially when we were back in Boston. Every day I would look on Spotify. I would do like the Spotify for artists.
Oh my God, I mean,
where I would put in the other artists.
I feel like we all have. It's a cruel feature.
Spotify streams.
So like I would look up, and I would see friends who started later. I would see people who started at the same time, or, you know, people who I thought didn't have songs that were as good as ours, whatever, you know. So like I would see on a day-to-day level how much better this was hurting me. Like
Definitely.
I think that the moment that I really stopped and realized that like the only thing I could compare to was myself was
exactly
huge.
That's like number one mantra too. You know, your only competition is you, because if you know, no one else is built like you.
Yeah.
No one else sounds like you. No one else writes with, you know, your approach. You know, so that was hard at the beginning, especially like because of that. They make it so easy for you to be like, oh, well, their song is doing this, and, you know, so-and-so is just doing better. And instead, like, I would start writing, like, I'm really proud of so-and-so for doing this. Or, like, I would turn it into more, like, compliments for them.
Well, and when you think about, like, you know, success as being, like, one thing, I don't know. It's a very myopic, like, it's not a full picture of what it is. Because somebody could have an incredible stream situation, but then, you know, never play to more than 5 people in a room. There's a million different sort of forms of success. It's impossible to look at one thing and say they're doing bad or they're doing well.
Yeah.
The only thing I have are, did I hit the goals that I wanted to that month?
Right.
Am I doing better than I did last month? Am I spending less on food this month than I did last month? Am I drinking more water than I did last month? Am I biking more?
That's a big one with the juicing.
Yeah. You know,
now I'm brewing my own teas. I used to spend like $5 a tea. It's crazy. It adds up so fast.
Yeah.
You know, but it is. What can you do with what you have?
Yeah.
You know,
it's been almost 2.5 years since I last used like the Spotify compare.
Wow.
Feature. I feel like I'm like saying that like an addict, which, and I know like, you know, I was
but
obsessive
it can be
about it.
It's toxic. It's not. It's really not healthy. I mean, I've had to set timers now on my phone. You can do that on Instagram, and it says that you've been on for 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been literally staring at this for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm like, what am I doing with my day?
Sometimes it's helpful to just get that feedback and be like, oh, I could be spending this time elsewhere.
We also have a habit, though, and I don't think we've ever like explicitly said it to each other, but whenever we see like a friend of ours doing something really cool, the first thing we say is, I'm really proud of them. Whether or not we mean it at that moment, we say it out loud, because just having that be the initial reaction. You know, it's like the fake it till you make it. If you say stuff enough times, you actually start feeling it. You know, I think. Yeah. So
I do believe that.
Well, especially I think it's because that the truth is complicated. You know, like when you see someone doing something cool, there's always going to be a part of you that's like jealous and envious. It's like, why am I not doing that? But then, you know, if they are your friend, there is always going to be a part of you that's genuine, like, I'm happy for them. And I think you get to make the choice to actively focus on the part of you that's like proud and just excited about everything, and not give like any kind of attention to the part of you that's more petty.
I know, but you just have to actively do that. So
you do have to actively.
That's part of, I think, being in LA. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure Nashville and New York are comparable, but I do feel like just because we're so heavily populated with a lot of artists that are like within the similar genre, or even like within the same demographic as me, like you just have to be consciously aware of where your thoughts go.
At the end of the day, there's a million reasons why somebody is where they are or doing what they're doing. Yeah. And we're very lucky, obviously, to be where we've all sort of gotten to. But I think that there's just so much more to do from here that, like, I think, I don't know, it's what we were saying before, that we have a choice, that we could all be, like, at each other's throats, or we could be supportive, and, like, the tide rises every ship, and try to give as much as we take. And that's hard. I mean, that's fucking work, you know? But I think
everything is.
It starts with not comparing.
You either work at it or you become complacent.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think if there's one thing that artists are good at, it's not being complacent. So, you know, this is our charge now to, like, here's where you put your effort. Put your effort into not making the industry a shitty place to live, you know?
I think there's been a nice shift, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're at each other's throats.
No, definitely not. Yeah. I imagine it must have been a lot more toxic, like, you know, 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I
think the internet's democratized some stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And held people accountable too.
Yeah.
Like if you're an asshole, like everybody will know.
Yeah, I think, and that's definitely a shift that's happening more and more.
Yeah. So roughly around now, we usually ask like internet-inspired questions. Are you ready for them?
Okay.
These are non-musical questions.
Non-musical questions.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
First question is, what is your phone background?
Oh, my phone background is the photo when I got engaged in Yellowstone National Park with my fiance. But on like my the other, this is like my phone background, but then when you go into the main background, it says I'm a queen at manifesting my dreams because
Nice.
Yeah.
just keeps me
It's a good reminder.
keeps me reminded.
Your
of that,
mantras, I
yeah.
think, are very important to you, which is cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Noah put on the door back when we were in Boston. He said, "Things happen when you go outside." Not really.
I love that.
And the other one I really liked was like make music, not excuses. It's a classic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Make things, not excuses.
Love that.
Do you have a non-musical hobby?
I love to cook and I love to be outside, camp, hike,
No.
anything.
Do you have one of those? Like,
outside.
I hang my hammock up on the balcony. Do you have like one of those?
We
hammocks?
we do. But we forget it often when we go camping. I don't know how. We did just get these new bomb ass chairs that are also like rocking chairs to have by the fire.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Which I'm really excited about.
Do you have a weird random skill?
I can like make a clover with my tongue. That's not really a skill. I used to be able to tie a knot like a cherry stem, but I don't know why. It's like it's gotten harder. But I can do the clover. I feel like not everyone can do it.
Yeah, I definitely can.
That's cool.
You can't?
No, I can't.
Oh.
Clover?
Can you?
No.
Yeah, I can
That's
do it.
cool.
What skill would you like to have?
I feel like it'd be the coolest skill to just be able to count my vocals in like 10 minutes. 5 minutes time. I'd love to like be really good at snowboarding. I fall on my ass like every time still. So I guess that'd be a fun skill.
That's a good one. All right, important question. Would you be a pirate?
I guess like for the gold and for all the cool
the swashbuckling?
Yeah.
Good.
But
is that a yes? Is that?
I don't think that I could be that evil in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna say for the pirate question, like you don't have to be an evil pirate.
But here's the thing: you would still have to interact with evil pirates. Like you'd be in the pirate community. It'd be like, I want to be a good mobster. Like I want to be the good part of organized crime.
Yeah.
Like you're still in organized crime.
You are still, yeah. Like you're saying yes to that treatment. I don't know.
I'm saying like around the time nobody was moral. I mean like
maybe like a taste of it. You know, it's like you get to just kind of like live in it and then like snap your fingers and be out of that world.
I think that's an easier question. I think anyone would say yes to that. The question is, would you be a pirate for your entire life?
I would want to be a pirate and commit to it.
I just don't think I could handle the stress of like constantly wondering whether I was going to get betrayed by my first man.
Oh, but I would pick the best first man.
Yeah.
You know, I would pick a first man that I'm like,
but it was amoral times. Like you couldn't. Like how are you going to find someone that you trust?
I would pick I would pick two first men for them to guard against each other, and they don't know about each other. Yeah.
Anyway, this is an ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I do not have any tattoos.
What would your first tattoo be?
Wait, sorry. Follow up before is that because of Judaism?
I just never have had any urges to get a tattoo. I do love them on other people, and I love hearing the stories of how they got them, but I've never had an urge to get one, nor would I get one in the future. I've taken plenty of classes where we talk about like medical ethics and Jewish ethics, whether it's being buried in a Jewish cemetery or, you know, honoring my grandfather who was in the Holocaust and you know, but my cousin has a bunch of tattoos and he said he's gotten them to, you know, honor him, to honor my grandfather. He has like a bunch of tattoos, so I feel like people like live that in different
and
ways.
in the follow-up, if you had to get a first tattoo, what would it be?
I would, like I said I wouldn't, but like anything that I would get would be like hidden. Like I thought about something in my lip or something that like would only be for me, because you can't really hide like most things. Like if I wear a bathing suit, most of it would show, you know. And I thought about one time getting like the glow in the dark ones, but then I read some crazy shit about them being like extremely toxic.
Yikes. What would it be of?
I feel like it would be like a word, like something that would just inspire me, like some kind of something in connection to a mantra.
If you could have any animal as a pet, given that it wouldn't kill you, what would you have?
Well, I'm like dog obsessed, so I feel like my first would always be a cute little pup. But
So your love
the
of dogs.
floofs are like my spirit animal is a golden retriever. So
You just call it a floof?
yeah,
That's great.
it's a flair. You have to join Dog Spotting as a group on Facebook that has completely changed my
I've been
life.
dog spotting for a minute.
Oh my God, I've been in it for like I think almost a year and a half now.
I've been in it for like 5 years.
It's absolutely the best thing that's ever happened to me. But they post their floofs. It's daily floofs.
Yeah.
Sorry, boring answer, but
No, great answer.
That's a good
That's
answer.
that's everything.
What's your favorite color to wear?
I love red and I love mustard yellow.
What's your favorite holiday?
I love Hanukkah in December, but I also love Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, mainly because it comes earlier than like the secular New Year. So you get to think about like everything that you've done up until September and everything else that you want to do.
Apples and honey. You
year.
can't go wrong.
The sweetness of apples and honey, yeah.
Do you fast on Yom Kippur?
I usually fast, yeah.
If I don't accidentally eat that morning, I
just have to be
usually fast,
better leading up to it to not have coffee, so then I don't have a caffeine headache the day of.
Yeah.
I love Rosh Hashanah because it's just like you get to celebrate the New Year earlier. But yeah, I mean the reason I love Hanukkah too is there are jelly donuts that you can make or buy, but they're the most delicious, and it's like the sweetness leading into the.
My mom makes a really good
too.
kugel.
Yeah.
Which
Because everything. I love Jewish food.
I like Passover because
I love food in general. But I love
both aunts, like the aunt that lives in Los Angeles and the aunt that lives in New York, both makes incredible matzo ball soup on Passover. So I like Passover. I feel like Noah's like sitting in his Catholic corner, like
It's like I don't know. I have no like religious. If I wasn't raised in no, I mean went to Catholic school, but I was always raised like outside of that world. So it's just like religion's always just been a very cultural thing for me.
it still is pretty cultural, you know.
I'm less religious and more, my family is, this is sort of how we grew up. It was it was less about what we were celebrating and more what foods were associated.
Yeah, and like I've never kept kosher,
Yeah.
like those kinds of things.
What's your favorite meal?
Oh, gosh, like just you asked me that too when I was
asked
coming
that
here.
earlier.
I mean, I love Thai food, so I love like pak khao prao and papaya salad, like anything Thai food related. I never have one answer to any of these questions.
No, it's,
I've
you're
realized.
fine. Yeah.
And I love I love breakfast foods, so pancakes or like egg in a hole. You know, that's
yeah,
one of my
that's
favorite. It's a very camp thing for me. Like on all of our overnights, all the counselors would make them, and they were so good
That's
every
great.
summer.
Do you have a favorite sound?
I do love rainfall and the sound of like a burning campfire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are classics. What's your favorite movie, favorite book, and favorite TV show?
Favorite movie. I loved Inception. I still love it. I loved the soundtrack to that too. I also love The First Wives Club, which is like my classic favorite movie with Bette Midler. Do you know that movie?
No, but
Can't say
who else? Somebody
The
else was
big
talking
song in
about
that
it.
is the "You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys.
I think somebody
You
just
don't
mentioned
own
that movie
me.
to me.
Yeah, it sounds.
Don't say I can't go with other boys." I love that one. Favorite book. It's an older book, but I loved Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
That's a good one.
It's like
Yeah.
a classic. And I also love like in a more self-help direction, You're a Badass at Making Money. It's a great book.
Oh, nice.
And did you say favorite song?
Favorite TV show.
Oh, TV show.
If you have a favorite song on hand, that's a good question.
That's a
I
really
do-
hard question.
I love The District Sleeps Alone Tonight by Postal Service.
That's a great one, yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Destiny by 07, which is like when Sia was doing a lot of features with them, which was like ultimate. And I love all of Taylor McFerrin, so I'll just say him.
Ooh,
Nice, yeah.
That's a great answer.
A favorite TV show. Right now, it's probably a tie between Barry and The Handmaid's Tale, I guess.
Nice.
It's like very different emotional sides.
Yeah.
Though both dark.
Both dark.
Yeah. We love Barry. I'm Noah hasn't watched Handmaid's Tale, but I'm a season in.
Ugh.
It's crazy. I love Elizabeth Moss. She's just incredible. But we're huge Bill Hader fans, and Barry just
It's just
so
so
good.
good. It's ridiculous.
you can just tell they really care about it too.
Like everything threaded together. It's like all seamless.
Very tight writing.
It's
Like I said, I get more inspired in my music life by hearing filmmakers and writers talk. And we were listening to it on the drive to San Francisco. There's a great interview between John Mulaney and Bill Hader talking about the new season of Barry. Oh, hello.
I love John Mulaney. We saw him in New York. And,
were you there?
I wish.
I saw the Kid Gorgeous taping at Radio City.
You were there?
I was there on one of the tapings. Yeah.
No way.
What's your favorite date you've ever been on?
My favorite date? That's a very cute question. Well, actually, I got into a car accident before my second date with Nick, my fiance, and he told me that we were going to go meet at Griffith Park for a picnic, which I thought was just very cute to have a picnic. And, he prepared all this stuff. And then I get into a car accident. Before calling insurance and before calling my parents, I called Nick. And I said, I got into this car accident, like my bumper, I'm not going to be able to drive all the way to Hollywood because I was still living at home. And he drove all the way to the Valley, which, as you know, it's a trek to drive. And it was rush hour. And we ended up having like the sweetest picnic at the top of Reseda. Shout out Tom Petty. And it was just so sweet. It was like, he really went above and beyond, and it didn't need to be at like this, Michelin star restaurant. It was like just out of the heart. It was just the sweetest.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
picnic.
You fell accidentally in love.
Yeah.
To quote the Counting Crows.
That's so funny. I was about to start singing that. I was like, I haven't heard that song in so long.
It's like one of my favorite songs.
We listen to it daily.
We listen to it daily, yeah.
Oh. You do?
No, it's just like, it pumps me up. Like it's on my like morning
it's
playlist.
On the driving playlist,
Yeah.
so it's always coming up, and we very rarely skip it. What's your favorite Halloween costume you've done?
I guess this past year, we were Night at the Roxbury, so I was Emily with her light bulbs.
That's a deep cut.
Emily? Yeah. You like my light bulbs?
Can you whistle?
I can whistle. I try to bring in whistles into my songs, and it always ends up getting taken out by the end because it feels very forced.
Whistle's also just very hard to record.
Well, it has to be very, very on pitch.
Yeah, very precise.
Can you whistle Navigator? Oh, good. I heard it. I got it.
Need some more water.
What's one thing that you looked forward to as a kid that turned out to be not so great as an adult?
Yeah, I think like just the concept of being able to pay bills. I was like really excited to be like, like being responsible. And I feel like it's not every month I'm like, fuck.
Water.
I'm like,
water costs something.
Yeah, what does water cost as much as it does?
Electricity.
But also, and like getting things fixed. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was so cool to be like, oh, we have to get like, your laptop or something fixed or your computer or something in the house. And it's just such an ordeal. Like nothing's ever very fun with that process.
Definitely. What's something you've done you'll never do again?
I don't know yet. I haven't skydived. I really want to do that, but I don't know how I'll feel after the fact, Do
you have a scar with a story?
I do. I have 4 scars. One on my forehead is from a really fun jumping on the trampoline experience with one of my sister's friends. I'm 8 years younger than my oldest sister, and we were jumping on the trampoline. I must have been like 7 or 8, and so he was about 16. He was in high school, and it was just the 2 of us. He had braces, and I remember thinking he was very cute, and we were holding hands, jumping up and down, and then all of a sudden, he's way heavier than me, and I flew up, and then I came down, and somehow his mouth went into my forehead.
Whoa.
Like we must have just somehow headed each other, and you can't see it that much anymore, but it was really fucking painful. I remember going in my house and I just had blood all over my face. And then the other 3 scars, I was
things we do for
born-
love, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, I was like, there it goes. I was born about 2.5 months premature, so I had feeding tubes for like 9 weeks after I was born.
Wow.
So those were just from feeding tubes.
You're just very excited to be alive.
I was just fucking ready to come out, and that's what it is. The Aries sign in me was like, get me out.
What are 3 thoughts you have at this very moment?
3 thoughts?
The most stressful question.
Oh, God.
Right now.
What am I eating for dinner? When the fuck is my first single coming out? And am I gonna get a second dress for my party? Which is an actual thought. Yeah, those are the most recent ones.
I
Am I drinking enough water? That's like one.
That's a classic.
You want water? I can get you some.
I would love some water.
What advice would you give to your teenage self?
It doesn't matter what people think about you. Run with what you believe in and be proud of yourself for the progress you're making. And don't compare yourself and your voice to other people because it's unique to you. And your boobs will come. So don't be so mad that you don't have them right now.
And then in that same vein, what advice would you give to new artists, producers, and writers?
Man, that's like such a big one that I wish I had too. I think a huge one that I'll always say is your music. Not all of the music that you write will see the light of day, and that doesn't reflect on what kind of artist you are. It just is part of the journey. So I think write to write, and don't be upset with yourself if every single song that you ever write doesn't come out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Experiment the fuck out of everything, even if it sounds really weird. Make it your own, and don't try to be a carbon copy of anyone else. Just try to write from what you're feeling, and ask for help when you need it. Because I think that,
I like that.
When you sit with yourself and make yourself crazy, I think that's like when the negative
Definitely
naysayer thoughts come in. So don't be afraid to ask for help, ask for advice. Yeah.
What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of just being here today and feeling really proud of all the music that I've released up until this point. I'm really proud of Navigator getting a Hulu sync, and
Which
it was a holiday sync last year.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great.
It was awesome. I'm just proud of my music having, I guess, extended lifetimes than just on the EP that it releases on. And I'm really proud of the woman I am today. I think I've just grown a lot. I've gotten to know myself, and I'm really confident in who I am and who I'm becoming. So I think that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hey, you passed the question round.
Yeah.
Damn. That was fun.
Before we wrap, what's on the horizon? What's coming up?
Yeah, I'm going to be releasing with this indie label called Big Noise, and I'm super excited. They're just a sweet family of support, and they're going to help with everything, marketing and PR, and I'm just excited about that. And then hopefully in fall, I'm going to have some more shows lined up, support shows, and then maybe by the spring I'll have like some kind of big tour myself.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to all that. You wrote a lyric. Is that from a new song or from a song that...
It's from an old song called Lost that was on the Aftershock EP.
What's the lyric?
Hazy from the doubt, head above the clouds, but I'm not lost.
Hazy from the doubt, head above the clouds, but I'm not lost.
It really was like, you know, it's okay to not be okay all the time. I kind of wrote that when I was going through a hard time in my life. And I feel like some people, if they see that you're struggling, like they tend to be like, oh, you know, she's in like a sensitive state. And it's more like, no, I'm not. I'm just going through a hard time. And it's okay to go through those ups and downs, and the ebbs and flows of life are just part of it. And to give yourself that permission to be in that low is like exactly what that song meant to me. It doesn't mean that you're lost when you're going through like a hard time in your life. Yeah. You're just going through a time.
Well, and that's the whole idea of support too, is that
Yeah.
it's like you're not gone. You just need, you know, some shoulders to lean on. And well, no, thank you so much for being on. We're looking forward to everything that's coming. We'll see you when you play live. And
yeah. This was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here.
But if you are my navigator, we could take the long way home. We could take the long way home. You are my navigator. Never have to bring me home. You never have to bring me home. 'Cause home is everywhere we go.
We would like to thank Jägermeister and Isotope for their early support of Talking Lion.